was fun. Well, I guess you get to see all this now. Let me... Do I start this, or is it already? Alright, looks like it's going. So, what I wanted to do here tonight was just create a simple game in under an hour or less and go over a couple of the kind of basics for how to use this and provide a kind of a reference or tutorial video that can be watched later if you forgot something, or try and just help out to really teach some of the basic mechanics of how these RPG editors work, and kind of start from there and see where it goes. So I have an idea for a game already in my mind. It's based off of one of the ideas that one of the scouts brought to me at Scouts the other night. It was a game he had a great idea for, and I thought it was good and both doable within the time frame that I've set for myself, and I'm going to stay as close to an hour as I can. This is me just kind of guessing at how long it could take, but I'm going to try and stick as close to it as I can and go over if I need to, or if I need to explain some stuff afterwards. So I am using a program called RPG Maker VX Ace. There's a bunch of different versions of RPG Maker out there. There's 2003, that one's a really old one. There's RPG Maker XP, that was the one that I started on when I was about 13 or 14. And then they skip over, I think I might have skipped over one. Anyway, then there's the next one is VX, which I used quite a bit as well, and then currently on VX Ace. And since then there's been a MV, I think that's the one they're on currently. And MV is a little newer than this. It looks and functions very similarly, but I know that it has the capability to export to web pages or like to HTML games, and also can be exported and played on mobile devices, whereas these cannot. These games are standalone, Windows only, and they export out as exe files with like a project that you can zip up and send to someone, or you can upload to Steam if you want to try and sell it. A lot of people sell these types of games on Steam. The games that I've seen on Steam are quite robust, like hours and hours of a dev team working on it, or a single person, just hours and hours as well. But they have pretty good ratings and good stories, and so I've never published anything on there, and I actually haven't worked in this program for several years, but I was messing with it last night to create this thing and could kind of remember a lot of it. So anyway, this is just a test map that I created last night to kind of help refresh my memory on a lot of the events and some of the finer details of mapping. And so I'm going to start with the blank canvas. So let's do this new project. I'm going to call this Runes. You can see here it's folder name Runes. I'm going to name it that. Game title is also Runes. This is where it's saved. So this is kind of where it saves all the files as you create them. So what I have here is a starting map with my player indicator here, and it kind of shows a grid. If you look up here, I'm in event editing mode. There's three different types of modes that you use frequently in these games, and one is the map layer. That's how the area that you walk around on looks. And then the event layer is on top of that, and those are things you actually interact with, or things that move around. And then one more layer on top of that, which I don't use very much, but which is useful for certain types of games, is the region editor. So what this is assigns regions. So essentially, if I had a huge world map, I could make 2 as my desert, and only desert monsters attack me when I'm in this area. And over here is my swamp, and this one, only swamp monsters attack me. So you kind of get the idea with that. I don't use it a lot in mine, but a lot of these types of games use random encounters. Most of the games I've created are more puzzle-based or like escape room-like. So, the basic premise for the game that I'm going to be creating tonight is kind of similar to how a Slender Man type game, where you have a big kind of gameplay area. And within that area is you, the player, several monsters that are trying to attack you and kill you, and also a set of objectives, which are runes that you have to kind of go and find and then disable by essentially standing on it or performing an action on it. The point is to disable all of the runes, and you do that during the course of 1 day and 1 night. So, and it progressively gets a little harder and harder as you do that. Some of the basic mechanics are there are a couple of safe zones, and there are a couple of, like, that the player can get in and that the enemies cannot. That one I might have to push off to a different one because I'm trying to think in my mind how to do it. And there are also, what am I thinking? As an enemy gets closer, a sound such as a heartbeat or something lets the player know that they're getting closer. And perhaps some way of helping the player find those runes, because depending on the map size, it could be really hard or really easy. So that's kind of an overview of how it is. For now, I am going to first create the map of the forest that we're going to be playing on. So I have my map. There's the game. This folder is where all the game maps live. And I'm going to go back to the map layer, which is up here. It's also just F5, F6, F7. So I'm going to go to the map layer. You can see here I have a tile set that kind of looks like, well, it looks really big. And that's because this tile set here is made for certain games that use like an overworld, like where, you know, this is the size of the mountains. Let me find some mountains. Like here's a mountain, you know, things like this. So you can see, like, this is kind of saying, hey, the player is really small. He's life-size in this because it's blown out. But it's kind of like I'm trying to think of a different game. Golden Sun is a great example of that, where like you're in a city and you're normal size. When you go outside the city, you all of a sudden are on the world map and you kind of walk a little bit slower. You walk around from city to city. And I like those kind of games. That's how this one is made, so that I could, you know, maybe there's some that kind of stuff out here, or maybe up north there's a little bit more ice. Maybe some ice hole, anyway. So essentially that's kind of how this layer is, but because I'm not going to be working in that at the moment, I am just going to kill all that. I'm going to right click on map properties, and I'm going to say this is my forest. So this is the first one. And the display name, so when you go from map to map, this is also going to be forest. Actually, no, I'm going to call this the black forest. Tile set. This is where you choose these tiles that appear over here on the side. So I have field. Field is that kind of bigger scale where you see a small city as like one tile rather than an actual city. So that's field. Exterior is where it's more zoomed in, like you're in a town. And interior is inside, and then dungeon is different. So these are all different levels of pieces. So I'm going to use exterior. I'm going to make this map, what's a good size for a forest? 140 by 125. I don't know. It's going to be a little bit wider than this tall. You could make it scroll. This means that if you walk out the left side of the map and you walk in on the other side, like you can continue to walk forever, essentially. That's useful in some cases, but not on everyone. Disable dashing. You can dash if you hold shift. It just makes you run quicker. Battle back is important if you're using a battle system, which we're not going to be. There is one built in, but I'm not going to use it. Auto change background music. Here's a good piece. Let me make sure that my thing is... Actually, the microphone on the camera should just pick it up. So I'm going to choose my background music. So this means that while I am on this map, this is the music that is going to play. Turn on my speakers. So maybe I'll try Dungeon. So this would make a really great one for like the at night scene. So some things you can do with it to make it sound cool is like you can change the pitch. Now this sounds way more sinister at night. Still sounds a little happy. Let me change back to 100. It's okay. It's kind of creepy. I'm looking for it in one sense that like you're in a hurry because stuff is chasing after you. I like this one. A little darker. Not quite dark. I like it. This is going to be it. Background sound. Do I want it to be windy or rainy? Here's rain. I like that. It's going to be rainy. All right. So, how this encounters here, we won't do one back because it's not very good. Oh, the music kept playing. Stop. Stop. Okay, cool. Now, if I zoom out, which I can sort of, I can see my whole map here. It's pretty huge. This is like top, really small. So this is the first part of it. So what I'm going to do is, because it's going to be a forest, I'm going to kind of take my grass texture here. I'm going to use my fill bucket and take the whole thing grass. So if you look at the entire thing, it's all grass right now. Okay? I'm going to zoom out a little bit to 1/4. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this a huge forest that's mixed with trees and a couple of houses here and there, and maybe a fence and just kind of some cliffs, some blockers, so it's not just boring trees everywhere. Because it is quite big, so we have a little bit of area to do this on. So I'm going to take this texture, whoops, switch back to my pencil, make it into a square. If I right click and drag, it gives me the option to select. So I'm going to select the square now that I have. I'll zoom in a bit. So if I just right click on this, now I can tile and draw wherever I want. If I right click and drag on all of them, now it kind of gives me a more thicker pen, which is kind of nice for this type of thing. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to zoom back out. So I'm looking at a very, very high level. And I'm going to say that the houses are going to be here. There's going to be a small shack or something up here. There's going to be a bridge right here. No, I'll put that in there. And then I'm going to just draw kind of a pathway. Not like that. I'm going to draw a pathway that kind of goes like this. And there's going to be a path that comes from the upper part and it kind of cuts and meets here in the middle. And then this one's going to come around like that. There's going to be a small area that goes over here. Maybe one that comes down here like this. And then I'm off right there. So you can kind of see I'm giving an upper level view of kind of a lot of it. And this is kind of helping me know where my points of interest are going to be. Now I'm adding a little bit extra here. So this is kind of just basic pathing to get some ideas of where stuff's going to go. Next I have a rock texture, and this is useful, could be useful in a lot of places. In this case I could have used rock. Maybe I should try that, why not? Yeah, now it's all rock, right? No, I like the dirt one. Rock I'll use around the houses in a bit. So let's do, whoops, not too much. Let's do that. This looks good to me so far. What I'm trying to avoid is like going like this and making a square, because it kind of looks like blah. I try to make it like nature is not usually square like that unless it's that for a reason. It's usually a person that does it. So like I'd make a yard or a fence square, but generally just beaten paths aren't square. So I try to knock off any corners like that. Next I'm going to take some bushes, which is this next layer here. And I'm going to draw kind of just some bushes, just fill in a little bit of bush there, a little bit here. I'm just kind of filling it in as I go. I'm going to grab a big one. This is all going to be bush right here, right there. The bush is just for looks at the moment. You can still walk through it, and I will prevent some of that in a little bit with some trees and some cliffs and stuff like that. Oh, that's an important thing I haven't put in yet. Let's put in, as soon as we're done with this, Let's put in some water. I'm going to make a nice little river that goes through stuff. Alright. So you can see this looks a little square to me, so I'm going to try and knock off corners wherever I can. Kind of like, if there's like a long straight edge, I'll try and add to it a bit here and there to make it more rounded. I'm just looking at it, trying to make it more organic. So, next piece. What's in dead bushes? Why not? So, that's kind of cool. I'll make this area up here kind of dead. Put some dead bushes. Put some dead trees up there later. Nice. Okay. So now, I'm just looking at these right here. You can tell all of these first layers here, it's kind of actually really smart how it does it. If I just have one, then right-clicking anywhere like is what eyedrops that tool. So if I right-click on this, I can paint the path. Right-click on this, I can paint a bush. This, I'm painting grass or normal ground. So what I'm going to do here is all of these here are tileable. So if I just have one grass, you can see it looks like that, right? But if I add a grass in between, you see how it changes to kind of autofill. That's really nice, and that lets you kind of create these really cool textures like this. So I'm going to create water with this one. I'm going to zoom out again. So this is kind of going to kind of be a little bit of a river. I'm going to have the river, because this is dead, I kind of want to keep water away from it. It feels like it, you know, it wouldn't do that normally. So I'm going to make this come around like this. It's going to go right up against where this house is. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to cut it right through that because I'm going to put a bridge on it. This will be a bridge too. Right here I'm going to make it fork, come up here. And this is going to be a little bit more of like almost a lake. Yeah. And so this is going to be a little bit thicker area. And then just for the heck of it, I'm going to put a little bit of thing right there. And come it up. Maybe I'll make this one a bit bigger. So I'm trying to be as organic as possible. Make it look like a real, like nature made this, not like I made it. That's a skill you gotta learn. So now that I've got water, I'm just going to pretty up the water with a couple. That's not right. Is this still good water? Yeah. Is this good water? That's weird. What the heck? I'm gonna use it. Oh. Okay. Sometimes you gotta experiment. This one work? No. Why is it not working? This should be it. I gotta like shift on it. No, I'm just do that. Okay. You can see here anywhere that has this blue background on it, behind it, means it's transparent. So as I put this on it, you see how it kind of goes over the top of whatever I click on it, meaning of the ground level, not the level I'm working on. So that works like that. I'm just gonna, I need to not get distracted with these and just continue on. So now I'm gonna put a house. What I want to do. Okay, here's some trees actually. So there's two different levels here for the trees. You have the tops, and then you have the trunks. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a forest here like this, just to kind of show you how it works. I'm going to make this kind of go up around here. And now something that it took me a little while to learn and get used to is just how this game looks. Because it's not always the most pretty when you're doing it. When you play it, it's kind of fun how it works. So this is just an easy way to make trees. And you just put this bottom tree in a line wherever you put the bottom of this. So it kind of looks like trees. And now there are one of the other editors, RPG Maker XP. It's a little older, but it has some very, very good trees. You build them a different way, and I prefer that way actually. But this way works pretty well for this type of game. Let's put some cliffs. So right now what I'm trying to do is go around the edge and to block the player from going out of the player area. Rather than just making him go and he can't walk out any farther, I want to physically block the player via trees or fence or something. So I'm going to put a cliff here like this, with a cliff at the top, just like that. So you can kind of see how it's working. Put that there. Why not working? Yeah, that looks better. So I'm putting that there. I'm going to put a little bit of a level here like that, so it kind of sticks it out a bit. Looks good. Yeah, why not? So I'm trying to add a little bit of kind of variations on it. Just kind of looks good. We'll be adding in some shadows in a few minutes. I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to just right click on this and I just drag an area. I'm going to move over here and I'm just going to start placing it like this. Move it up like that. Because I don't like the straight edge of this, I'm going to move this piece up and move that piece up like that. You can see how it kind of autofills it. Move that one down. This one a little bit bigger. That one right there looks kind of cool. Now see how it's kind of building this cool looking shape. I'll add another layer there. Nope, not do that. Now, just while I'm doing this, there's another pen here. It's called the shadow pen. And you do this and you go in and you add little areas of shadow in order to make this feel more organic and more kind of realistic. So I'm going to add the shadow on all of these sides. This is definitely not going to take 1 hour if I'm going to do this whole thing. How am I working on it? I've been going for approximately 20 minutes. We'll see. Okay, let me think. So I'm still just making this whole entire map. Kind of made it a bit bigger than I thought I would. Okay, let's think about it again. So I'll just focus on a part of the map. Let me look at it from a bigger point of view. Yeah, I'm just focusing on that part. And I don't even want to do that. I'm just going to focus on this upper area right now. Or should I just make the whole game that size? Okay, making an executive decision. Cutting it down quite a bit. I made my map. This would be good if I had more time, but because I'm trying to do this within an hour and there's a lot of eventing to do, I need to get this done quickly. So I'm going to cut the game map in half. Now you see I have just this section here. This is perfect size. Awesome. Okay, zoom back in. Now I have a more manageable time. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to add some cliffs here. Add a couple cliffs here. Add some right there because it's cool. Add a nice little cliff right there. And that's probably good for cliffs. Now I'm going to go right click and grab this other layer and I'm going to kind of fill in, this bottom part. Maybe I'll zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. So after I place this upper level of cliffs, I'm just grabbing this and I'm going in like that. And I'm just kind of adding a second layer. And now what I'm going to do is add even another layer, just like that. Kind of looks cool. Looks a little bit, different levels. Maybe I'll put a level even on top of this. Yeah, like that. Yeah, so it kind of looks like there's a hole in it a little bit. Maybe I'll make that actually a hole. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to go grab my shadow pen, go back, add shadows where it is important to make it look better. So now it kind of looks cool like that. Maybe I'll copy this whole thing over a bit. And put it in a hole in the ground right there. I like it. How am I going to do that? So I have this. I have this area around it. Okay. This is that's kind of cool. Just another texture for the grass to give it a little bit of extra depth. Kind of looks a little bit different because this is a slightly darker grass. Nice. I like it. It's all about adding those little details. I'm going to go and add in the base for this cliff here. I'm just going to do it like that. Then we got this cliff here. And I'll make it like that. And like I was doing before, I'll just be adding a couple of extra small pieces here and there. Nice, and then shadow penning it. Looks good. Okay, next, let me put, so I have all of these different tiles here, and as you can see, I have like a house, different kind of house. These are all walls, these are all roofs. So I'm going to add a small house down here. I'm going to give it a kind of, how about a shack? Where's a good shack? That's a snowy one, this is a metal one, this is a, oh, this looks promising. Okay, let's try this. So I'm going to, not here on the shadow pen, going to add a roof here like this. Then I'm going to, excuse me, add a wall. Now if you can kind of see where this is going, this kind of looks like a house a little bit. I always like to add other stuff onto them to kind of make it look a little bit more layered, so to speak. And a lot of times that just involves just going something like this. Going like that. Adding the shadow pen down this side like that. So now it kind of looks like a house next to another house, or like just a room off to the side. And I'm going to put a fence around it. So this up here is a fence. I'm going to switch back to that layer. So now I'm going to make the fence kind of come out of here. You can see as I drag, it makes itself into a nice little thing. I'm going to put the fence right there. So here's a trick. If you hold shift, so right now I just place a single post. If I hold shift, it places the entire post. So what I'm going to do is push shift, shift. Then I'm going to right click right here and push add, add, and replace those. And what that does is it kind of, it sets it. So this one, for example, I want it to connect into this area. So I'm going to do is right click on it, so now I can put a post anywhere, but I'm going to hold shift as I put it, which puts down essentially all of them at once. Like it doesn't hook it to a certain side. Then I'm going to right click here and click, which means it's telling it on this side that I'm not, it's not hooked to it. Then I'm going to right click here and do the same thing. So now it looks like it's built into it. That's a nice little trick. Because I'm going to put the door right here, I'm going to break that out like this. I'm going to put a nice little stone path like that. I'm going to make the stone path head up this direction a little bit. Maybe cut off like that. Put some dirt next to it. That looks okay. Pathway goes all the way up to there. I'm just going to leave it like that for now. How do I do that? This side part is going to be made of not that. How about that? No, I don't. I'm just leaving it like that. So, what else can I work on? So right now we're just working on the base level map, right? I'm just having fun with this. This is, I love. See, when I was younger, map building was my favorite part of the entire process. I have so many maps that I've built, more than games I've made. I've just made maps just because for the fun of it. I'm just adding in random other details now. So let's put a little bit of dead stuff up here. There's a nice little area of dead grass. There's something I missed earlier. Sweet. What else am I going to put? Trees. That's what I'm doing. Let's put some more trees over here because it is a forest, right? So I'm going to put some nice treeage here. Maybe some treeage here. Put a little bit of this underneath it. This is not the only way to make trees, and I'll show you the other way in a minute. Or is it here already? Yeah. Oh, here it is. So these pieces down here are single places, and they are all of the different pieces for this here. So this is what allows you to create, like let's create a hole in the ground. Maybe put a hole in the ground because I want to. So I have this here. This kind of looks like a hole, but it works because it's on top. I'm just going to place this whole piece right here. Then I'm going to run this piece like this, kind of like that. And I want to make the hole that shape. So I'm going to put it in like that. And now what I'm going to do is select the right pieces that go in the right places on this. So you can see these are the right for that. This is right for that. This is a nice corner for this side. This side is a corner. This side is a corner. Dink, dink. And then you have to use these other corner pieces to kind of fill in these little corner gaps. Dink, dink. So now I have something at the bottom. Now I'm going to click this and use these to kind of round the edge. Because this is a little close right here, I always like to kind of, maybe I'll just move it all up. That's fine. Yeah, that looks good, right? What is this? I don't know what that is. But I don't know what it is, but I'm going to put some. Yeah, there's some stuff there. Some things over there. Let's put some of the, what else? Hey, look, steps. Yeah, I want to put one in there. So I'm going to put some steps like this. So now I've got some steps. Awesome. Okay, oh, these are single steps. There we go. So now you can actually walk down in there. That's cool. I'm going to put some steps up right here too. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So I got steps. Put steps up this one too. This one. So right now what I'm doing is I'm clicking and it's adjusting a lot of these other things. Because of this area right here, I can't walk on it unless I get onto it too. I'm going to right click here and hold shift and click on it. That just lets me walk onto it. You'll see that later. I think I'm good. Maybe I'll put some shrubberies. Those are kind of cool, right? I think I can make them as tall as I want. That looks kind of cool, but it also looks kind of stupid. Yeah, that's okay. No, it's not. Don't like it. So, next part is a different kind of tree like I was talking about. What else? I thought I put some more fences real quick. Whoops. I'm going to put a nice fence right here. I kind of want to make the person walk through right here. There we go. It's like, this is my yard. Don't touch my yard. Person can walk down underneath here. I'll make that a little bit better to deal with. Oh, bridge. Cool. Bridges usually go best if they're straight rather than diagonal. So I'm going to make this a little bit straighter. Is that the only place that needs a bridge? No, right here needs one. I'm going to make it straight. So I'm kind of lining up an area right here where I can build a bridge that's straight. And I'm going to build one right here too. Just like this. Alright. My bridge building pieces. I think they might be on the next. Oh, here's some. Yeah, perfect. Not perfect. I'm going to hold shift and click on it. Hold shift when I click, otherwise it breaks that. Right click on this, shift, shift, shift. Now I got a bridge. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. So here's another side bridge. I'm going to put this bridge here. Click, click, click. I'm holding shift again because it places it on top of it without messing with these auto tiles that are underneath. These are called auto tiles. So where's the next bridge? It's going to be this kind too. So right click, shift, 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 this, that. So you can see I'm holding shift, pushing this down, clicking these so that it kind of paths this into here. And that's just kind of a visual thing more than anything. You don't really need it, right? You make it however you want. How much time do I have left? I've been going for half hour. I need to get down with this. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So now that we kind of have the base layer done, let's just say this is done for now. There aren't a ton of trees, but there are a good amount of bushes and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is move on to the next layer, which is B. So these kind of go in progression. So you have tile set A. Tile set B is for objects, and tile set C is for objects as well. So I'm in here now. You can see I have other bridge pieces in case I wanted to do those. Maybe I'll do that. I'll show you how it works. So I'm going to get rid of these bridges because I can. And I'm going to put the actual bridges that we have here. So this one goes like this. And then it has these pieces underneath it that look kind of cool. So you can see it kind of builds it like that. It's not always necessary to make it up like that, so sometimes it goes like that. You can go like that. Make it kind of a cool bridge. This one I'm going to do the same way. Add the shadow pen to make it look like it's kind of tall. Yeah, like that. And then the other bridge down here. Same thing. Right. So this is where you have all of these awesome pieces. So with this one, I'm gonna put a door on this house. So with this one here, you can make it a square door or a round door. Put a round door. You can see how putting this on top of the house adds a door to it. You know what else I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make this into a cave. I'm gonna do that with a square thing like that. No. About this. No. Not that one either. There's a better one. There's one on the third. Yeah, this looks good. So on the third set, there's this door that kind of looks like that. It's like a crack in the wall. I like that a lot for these types of things. I'll put one there too. Put some piles of dirt because why not? So these B and C is really where you start to add things that really decorate the whole area, right? So look, I just made this into like a mine. Oh, cool! I've got some cool stuff to put on right here. Maybe I'll put a mine entrance right here instead of a crack. Yeah, so that looks kind of cool. There's some houses and some roofs over here. It can kind of like, I'm gonna put a tower right here. No, I'm gonna put a tower over here. Right there. I don't like that tower. That one's better. And you can just tile these pieces together to make kind of whatever you want. I'll put an obelisk right there. I'll put one right there in the center. This is going to say something. Let me put some random pillars. Not over here though. How about some logs? Yeah, I like that. Because why not? Dink, dink. So now for the trees are on B, so I'm going to have these trees here. Here's some right here too. So these, how this tree thing kind of works is you just drag this whole area here like this where you want trees to be. And in this case, I kind of want a little area right here that I can kind of walk in between. So now I'm just grabbing this again and I'm going to put some over here. Right here seems kind of good, right there. So right now I'm blocking things in. You'll understand why in just a minute, why I'm doing it this way and it doesn't look very good. It's because I will be altering it. And you could even replace this if you don't like it. You know, I kind of think it's ugly, but it kind of also serves its purpose. However, I'm going to replace it because it does look kind of ugly. I don't really like doing that. I don't mind it over on the edge though, so this will be fine. Don't want you. Okay, back to B. Put in some trees. So now I have single trees. Now I can just go around and paste a couple single trees here. There. Put some right there, right? I'm just placing single trees all over the place now. Trying to always keep in mind the whole, don't put them in a straight line unless you intend to. Maybe it's easier if I zoom out a bit. Sweet. Yeah, that's pretty good. So now, the part to make these look good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this top part right here, and I'm going to put it on the tops of all these trees. Now you can see what I'm doing is I'm going to add this level to all of these trees. You can see how as I'm adding it, it's kind of like completing the tree, so to speak, right? So that's what I'm doing here. I'm completing the tree. Let me get that one over there. Down like that. Yeah. So with this one, it is a little bit more finicky because you do have to essentially do each piece by itself. But it gives you a lot of control over how it looks once you're done with it, right? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to add in this on all of these. There's a fit right there. That's it. Like, why wasn't it fitting? So I want to put both of these over there, but I want to put this one like this. There. No. This is what I want. Nope. Nope. Alright, I'll just do that then. So this could be actually kind of tedious if you don't do it right. I'm trying to find the right one for this. There should be a tile that fits well right there. Maybe not. Okay, sometimes you won't find tiles that fit. Sometimes they all just gotta be their own thing. Anyway, I'm spending way too much time on this part for it to be useful. I might have to cut this into separate pieces. Oops. That's looking okay. Sound like that right there though. Oh, that's kind of weird. You go over there. You disappear. Aha, that's how I can do that. Sweet, that's how you do it. Tile them together nicely. Sweet. Digging it. Nice. It's looking great. So you can see how I'm kind of going through it. I'm actually making trees. Now I also have these singular trees as well. I can just place them kind of around here and there. Let me do this. Nice. And I have these little bushes too. So really, the more objects you can place on the map and the more random you can make them, unless you're, like I said, like sometimes you're trying to go for random. If it's a forest, yeah, it's gonna be random. If it's like a garden or somewhere where people have actually worked on it, then you don't really need to be as random. You can put them very steady. So I am going to just continue to the next section of this. Where am I at? 20 minutes left? Okay. For now, I'm going to leave these trees as they are, kind of a little on the ugly side. But just know that it will be fixed later. Right now, I'm trying to get this whole thing within an hour for the sake of time. Yeah, I like that. I'm still spending time because it's so fun. It's my favorite part. Okay, so what I'm going to do, also I can make winter stuff if I want. I'm going to put some more trees, some more of these trees. Alright, not bad. Almost done, I promise. I'm kind of putting it at random, but I'm also kind of trying to space them out evenly in a spot where I think they would go. Because this is a house, he seems likely to have a garden. So what I'm going to do is go back to A, switch to my dirt. Not my dirt, there should be a cloud of dirt. Maybe that's what these are. Yeah, I like that. Then I'm going to switch to B, and I'm going to plant some flowers or some cabbages or something in it. This is still me just decorating. Let's put a campfire right there because why not? Campfire right there. Ooh, let's make a graveyard up here. Yeah, creepy. Signposts are always good. Let's put a signpost right here. That one's in the snow though. You need to get one that's not in the snow. Put a signpost right there. Let's fix that. And there's usually wood by house. So right now I'm just looking at what's here and I'm decorating. That's really what a lot of the map sections are, and it's just decorating the heck out of everything you make. Oh, this house doesn't have any windows. Let's put a shutter window on it. 2 of them. One of them is going to be closed. I like it. What type of house is this going to be? This is going to be my house, but could it be something else? No, it's not. Not really. Yeah, I like that. Okay. As you can see, you can spend a lot of time doing this, and I love it. Really, it's just as much time as you want to put into it. Okay, let's get to the events. Events are what make the game happen. Actually, no, let me show you what a playtest looks like. Duh. Okay, now what I'm going to do is up here on this top part, I'm going to push playtest, right? But before that, I'm going to go to manage project. Not that one. I'm going to go to the database editor. I'm going to go to system, title screen music. So this is when you start your game. It's going to be theme. Let's listen to it. Nope, that's way too happy. Creepy. I like it. Title screen. Let's open up the title screen. So this is, you can put in your own graphics, or you have some of these that you can kind of pull in. So I'm going to put, where is a knight? Yeah. I like knight. Let's put a mountain fire. No, mountain. That's okay. Flying. So that's good. So now I'm going to click this play button up here. Save changes, yes. Now what it's going to do is I'm going to launch the game. See? This is where we get to see what we made. So now you can use your arrow keys and click continue, spacebar. So now you can see up here, this is my player icon, it's where I started. So you can see that I started in the same place. So now I have this here, and I can use the arrow keys to walk. And I'm walking around the map we built. Now if I push shift, you can see how it kind of runs me faster. I haven't made any of those things yet. You see how it's all kind of working? Sweet. So, it's all working. Now, notice a couple things. It sounds like it's raining, right? But it doesn't look like it's raining. That's a problem. Oh, see how I can also walk behind the trees? I love that about this. You set that up in the database management earlier, but when you're importing tile sets, you tell which ones are in front of the player. But I love the ease of just working that out. So let me cancel this real quick. So I'm going to go back to this. Let's create a couple of events. Now, the first one was, let me see where I'm at with time. 15 minutes left, okay. So first one is make it rain, okay. I'm going to go to the event, and now you see I have these grids all over the place. This really helps with kind of setting up where these events go. So general, like good practice, best practice is to put auto-running events, and I can kind of explain those more. It's an event that runs itself automatically when you first get on the map. You put those in the top corner to always be able to find them later. Other events you put on the map are like players, chests, doors, enemies, items, stuff like that. So this top one, I'm going to double click, and I have this event editor, and this is what really lets me build what the thing does. So for this one, I'm going to go to, so kind of how this is laid out is this is the conditions that must be met in order for this event to run this here. In this case, because I want it to rain, I'm going to trigger. So if I have it on action button, that means I have to walk over with my player to it and push space. That's the action button. And then it will run whatever's here. Player touch is kind of similar. I just need to touch it, and then it will run it. Event touch. This is where the event touches another event, or when it touches you. Yeah, that's what it is. So player touch is when I'm running into it, and event touch is like when it runs into me. Auto run runs it by itself, but it also runs it on a loop. And parallel process is a better one of that because there's a difference between the two, but I almost always run these auto ones to parallel process. Now priority, I'm just going to put the same as characters, no walking animation. This is where you put like a person or a chest or whatever. And I'm going to open the contents, and now I have 3 pages of things that can happen. And so using these, you can craft anything you want in this game. For this one, I want weather effects. So I'm going to go to, not there, okay, picture and weather. So I'm going to put set weather effects. I'm going to click on it, and it's going to pop up here. What kind of weather do I want? Rain, storm, or snow? I'm going to click rain, and I'm going to make it, it's raining a lot, 9. And I'm going to make it, so this is what, so I can make it ramp up so it's not raining, and then once this event's run, it will like start raining over, if I want it to be 1 second, and it'll go from not raining to raining all the way in 1 second or 10 seconds, so you can kind of start or slowly stop the rain. In this case, I'm going to want it running right off the beginning. I'm going to turn that off. So I have this here, okay? And then what I'm going to do is erase event. It's on page 2. So basically what it does is every time the player hits this, it's going to quickly, like a parallel process is what happens when the player first sees it. And so like when he gets on this map, instantly it's going to set the weather effects to rain, and it's going to erase the event. Now the event is very important that you erase it, because if you don't, it'll just keep repeating this over and over and over again. It'll say set weather effects, done, set weather effects, done. And if there's ever an event that just loops itself continuously really fast with no pause, it will crash your, it won't crash your system, but it'll make your game extremely jerky because it's like running over and over again. So what you want to do is run it once, stop it, and erase the event. Now erase event means it erases it, but next time you go off this map, for example, and you come back, it will reload it again. So it's like it erases it until you leave and come back. So I'm gonna do that. So now let's play test and see what happens. See how it's raining? Isn't that cool? Yeah. Where I go, now it's raining. It also darkened the screen a bit. That's pretty sweet. Oh. Okay, so let's do this. What's the next one? The events. Okay, so the point of this whole game is to go around and find five runes. For this purpose, I'm going to make a rune, and it's going to look like where's a good one? Those are cool switches. So I'm looking through all of these different graphics that I can use. Evil. So these are all people, for the most part. I can use any of these that I want. Insane. Where is something on the ground? Big monster. No. Coffin. Gate. Hexagram. There it is. So I'm going to make the runes red. Why not? So it's going to be a hexagram right here. So what it's going to do, if I just leave it as it is, it's never going to move. It's just going to go this one here, right? But you can see here, it kind of has an animation to it where it's like this. It glows a little bit more, glows a ton, then goes to nothing, and it just repeats itself. So what you want to do is uncheck walking animation. This means that whenever the event moves, it displays an animation of like a player walking. And that's useful if it's like a person, like an NPC walking around. But for this, you just want stepping animation, you want direction fix, and you want through. So through makes it so that the player can walk on it. If it was not through, then the player could not walk on it and just run up against it and can't go on top of it. And because I want the player to step on it, I'm going to put this below the character. Now the trigger is going to be player touch. Now what I'm going to do is this is going to be, what's it called? Rune. So now on this contents page, I'm going to go and I'm going to play sound effect. Play sound effect. SE, sound effect. And I'm going to do, you can, that's cool. I like it. What about darker one? Nice. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to flash the screen. Flash screen. I'm going to flash it white, and I'm going to flash it quickly. Not quite all the way. Okay. So wait for completion. Let me explain that real quick. Right click, edit. Wait for completion here means this. So there's 60 frames per second, and that means that what it's going to do is it's going to flash the screen, and because I put 20, it's going to be 1/3 of a second. And then it's going to wait for the flash to be done until it does the next thing in the list. The next thing in the list is I'm going to show a battle animation. Show an animation. I'm going to put it on the player. And I'm going to do where's evil? There it is. Dark. You can see all those. I'll show you where they are later. Wait for completion. Perfect. So the animation is a battle thing, but it'll run it and it'll play a sound effect is hooked into it as well. So it's going to place the sound effect, flash the screen, show the animation on the player. While it's playing, actually, I'm going to turn this on, make it a wait for completion, turn that off. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to, what button was it? And 3. Man, I found this last night. It took me a while to find it. Oh, change actor graphic. Nope, that's not it. Sorry, I'm trying to find where it was because it was weirdly titled. It's like change graphic or something like that. Oh, set move route. Okay, so this is something that's kind of weird because it works, but it's kind of a funky way of doing it. So set move route, this is where you would tell like an NPC to like up, left, like move around, or tell something to follow. But what you can do is you can tell this event, which is this piece here, to change graphic. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to pentagram, hexagram I mean, and what's going to happen is because I want it to be deactivated once I set on it, I'm going to click it to this black one here. Yeah, like it? Okay. Change graphic. And then I'm going to click OK. It's going to do that instantly. So it's going to change it from red to black while it's playing the animation. And then what it's going to do is it's going to wait 60 frames, 1 second. And then it's going to play show text. That's going to be like, okay, so here it goes. Whoa, that was scary. And because I'm you, I'm going to put actor 1, I'm going to put this guy's face so it'll show it next to it. So you can preview it, just look like this. Whoa, that was scary. So what it's going to do then, batch entry, no, not entry. You can tell whether it be on the top, middle, or bottom of the screen, put it on the bottom. That was scary. Then I'm just going to take this, copy and paste it, change it, oops, right click, edit. That was scary. And it looks like I have, oh, see this right here? This is the most useful thing ever. I have now found variable. I'll show you these in a minute. So I'm going to put, so right here it says V, back up. So it's going to be slash, capital V, open, 001, close. I have found variable of the runes. It looks like I have the sign said there were 5 total. That means I have variable open 002 more to find. Okay, preview it. See how it goes way off the side right there? It's kind of useful that it has these things here, so I'm just going to use this to move it myself. Oops. Perfect. Now I preview it. See, it says, I have now found 0 of the runes. The sign said there were 5 total. That means I have 0 more to find. Let me fix that. I have 0 more to find. Now you see these numbers, you can kind of do some cool stuff with it. Right now it's 0. So what I can do here is I'm looking at these other things that I'm doing here, and where is it? Where's the color? Aha, color. So it's slash C, open bracket, N, and by N you just put a number. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to put slash, capital C, open, 2, close. Preview. So not turned all the rest of it red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to paste it, I'm going to change it back to 1. Nope, not 1, 0. So you see what I'm doing is I'm putting a bracket that says change all the text after that to color 2. It'll do that here, and then change it all back to color 0. So what I'm going to do is this, and I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to change this one to color 3. Now on a preview it, you can see that I have found 0 of the runes. So there were 5 total. Ooh, I think 5 total needs to be a color 2. C4. Oops. C0. 5 total. Yeah, 5. I don't like that color though. Not 4. How about 5? I want gold, not purple. Gold, yes. I don't want this red. I want them different colors. So this one needs to be 3. This one needs to be 2. Now, all these are the correct. Okay? I have found 0 of the runes. I'll fix that in a second because these are set to variables, which are numbers that can be changed. The sign said there were 5 total. That means I have 0 more to find. Close. This is now done. So now I have that one done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to control switches. I'm going to go control self switch. A switch, I'm going to tell it to be on. So now what this is doing is once it runs all these things, a self switch is on. So these over here, I'm going to create a new page for this event. And this one is going to be if self switch A is on, it's going to be essentially this hexagram right there. Yep. Direction fix. Blue. So what it's doing is essentially once this self switch is on, once it hits this, it's going to not do anything on this page anymore, and it's going to switch it to this page, which does nothing, which is what we want it to do. But also once I'm here, after it hits this one, I'm going to also tell it to control variable. I'm going to pick, so here's my 2 variables that I did earlier where I put on the text box, I put V1 and V2. So the first variable is going to be called how many I found runes. Second one, second one is remaining runes. So because I found 1, I'm going to use it on found, apply, okay. And what it's going to do, so it's going to deal with this variable, and it's going to add 1 number, because I set it here, I'm going to add a constant to that rune. So when you first start the game, this variable is going to be 0. But once I run this control variable and I tell it to add 1, that's going to be now 1. It changes from a 0 to a 1. So if I was to, I'll show you how this works exactly. Found runes 1. Perfect. And I'm also going to copy and paste it, and I'm going to say same thing, except I'm going to change it to remaining runes, and I'm going to say subtract 1, and you'll see why in a minute. So now I have add 1 number to variable 1 and subtract 1 number from variable 2. So, okay, back up in this, well, this is actually a good time to say it. What should I say here? I'm going to create another event up here. This is going to call parallel process start. So what it's going to do is it's going to parallel process. Instantly it's going to turn on switch. And this switch here is going to be called pp run. Okay, and I'm going to turn the switch to on. So there's a reason for this. It's going to tell this switch to be on, and then once the switch is on, then I'm going to just say, oh, here, once the switch is on, pp run is on, then it's not doing anything. So what this is going to do is it's going to run a parallel process at the beginning of the match. So in order to help that, this can be a little complicated at this part, but you might be able to see. They're called common events. Common events are things that happen regardless of where you are on the map. It doesn't have to be on any particular map. And this is useful for pulling things out, like always tracking where the person is walking, or in this case, this. So at the very beginning of the game, it's going to control variable. It's going to change remaining runes, and it's going to set it at 5. So it's going to do this. The trigger switch is a parallel process, and it's this switch here. So game start. And then what it's going to do is it's going to control switch, and it's going to pp end, and it's going to turn this one on. So essentially what this is doing, and this will be done, is that anything I want to do just once at the beginning of the game, because sometimes you have to set up a bunch of variables like this, I have to tell how many are remaining. So I'm going to tell the variable number 2 how many are remaining, there's 5 remaining, and then I'm going to turn on a switch. So this is pp end. So this one over here, pp stands for parallel process. This one, if this one is on, pp end, then it's never going to do it again because the switch turns on and it has nothing that turns it off ever. So that's important. So now let me show you how the variables work. So I have this event here. I'm going to copy it, and I'm just going to paste it like 5 places here. And then I'm going to play test it. So I'm walking. Right, he's moving. Okay, let me stepping animation. Oh, direction fixed. Oops. This means it won't ever change. That's what the problem was. So because I have set this one up the way I have with these self switches and variables, essentially it does not matter which one you do first or in which order you do them. Because sometimes if you're setting it up in a way where like you had to do them in order, then you can say you found one, and you can actually type it out. But if you go in the different order, this way is foolproof that you can hit them in any order you want, and it'll always show you the correct amount that you've hit and what's remaining. So let me show it to you now. They're still not moving, dang it. There they are. Anyway, I'm going to step on it. Watch what happens. Turn black. Whoa, that was scary. I have now found 0 of the rooms. The sign said there were 5 total. Oh, that's fine. So it said 0, 5 total, 5 more left to find. So this is the second variable that I set. Now I'm going to delete these real quick because I found my mistake. So I'm talking here about I have found, but I didn't actually change the variable that moves that number up or down until after. So I'm going to move this one up above the text, copy them, delete them, paste them up here. So now the variables happen before the text, that way the text is always accurate. Now, why is this still not walking animation? The event's moving, okay. Why is this not fixed? Oh, wait. It's fixed, yeah. Trying to figure out why this isn't. I want a bigger one. I see where it's going. Okay, I'm gonna set this one. And you know, also the cool thing is that I can just copy and paste this. And guess what? I can go into each one and I can make this one yellow. Okay. I can make this one blue. And I can make this one purple. Like it. So they're all different colors even. Now when I play test it, new game. Oh, look, they're moving. Watch, I'm gonna touch this one. Whoa, that was scary. I have found 1 of the runes. The sign said there were 5 total. I have 4 more to find. That's because I have updated the first variable to add 1 to it, so now I have a 1. And I've taken the 5 variable, and because I found 1, I subtracted 1 from it, now I have 4 more. Now, that one is still... Now it's over here. Whoa, that was scary. I have found 2 of the runes. The sign said there were 5 total. I have 4 more to find. I really have 4 more to find. This is weird. Okay, so what it's showing me is that first variable is updating, but the second one is not. Let me check this real quick. Okay, let's try and debug that. Okay, let me erase these again. So what is it doing? Remaining runes. It is subtracting 1 from it. Okay, cool. That's right. What I'm thinking is happening is that this parallel process that's happening up here. Hold on. This parallel process is just running on a loop. It is. I see. Okay. Oh, that's why. Because essentially this event will run repeated over and over and over again if this switch is on. So what I need to do is turn and turn this switch off. Duh. Now it's off. See, I tell it to be off, so now it's off. PP run off. So it's going to run it and then turn it off, which means it'll stop. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to try this again. Oh man, big bad thing. Scary, found one of the runes. 4 more to find, sweet. That was scary, found 2 of the runes. 3 more, yes it worked. 2 more to find. That was scary. I have found 4 of the runes. 5 total, 1 more to find. Oh, that was scary. I have found 5 of the runes. That means I don't have any more to find. Perfect. Okay. Now this is where it gets interesting. An hour, 11 minutes. It's been about an hour. Well, I'm going to finish this up. So, what needs to happen first? I need to start and an end. I'm going to make the start. So what I'm going to do now is, because there's 5 runes and I have them all right here and they all work, I'm going to delete them. I'm going to make this one here. So what is going to happen is I want something special to happen on the last one that is found. So if you were making a game that was very easy to tell it which the order it was, then it'd be easy because you just put this in the last one. But because I don't know which order they're going to do it, I have to kind of fit this into all of them and then make it a possibility. So like if it is the last one, then it will do something. So what I'm going to do here is, before I turn the self switch on, which goes to this other one here, I'm going to add a conditional branch. So conditional branch is, so if you hover it, it says, creates a portion to be run only when specific conditions are met. So I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do is a variable, if found runes, so this is basically saying if the variable that says how many runes I've found is equal to 5, then it will do this. So I'm going to turn this off. Oh, actually, I'll keep it on because it makes it easier. So right here, this is going to be in it. So essentially, yeah, I'll just do that so you can actually see what it does. Well, that was scary. This is going to say, I better get going. So the conditional branch is, if variable of found runes is equal to 5, meaning I have found all 5, then it will do this. Otherwise, and that's what else means, otherwise, it will say text that says, I better get going. So if you haven't found all 5, it's just going to say, I better get going. Whereas if you have found all 5, then it'll do something special. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to right click. I just copied and pasted text. It's easier to just copy and paste text boxes sometimes. So if I have to edit it. So I'm just like, wow, I found them all. I better get back to my house. Back to my hose. So these little tick marks up here, they kind of tell you I better get back right here. Because I have the face over here, it means that there's less. So it's super useful to always play test and to check that the text is actually fitting when you do that. I better get back to my house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go this color 5. I better get back, no, I want 6. I better get back to my house. Alright, see what I'm doing there? This is what games do, where they kind of like lead you by changing words, color, anyway. Better get back to my house. What it's also going to do right above it is it's going to set weather effects to none, and it's going to change it over the course of 300 frames, which is about 5 seconds. Wait for, oh, I don't want it to wait for completion. What it's also going to do, insert, is it's going to fade out the background sound, which is the rain, over the course of 5 seconds. So it's going to both stop the sound effect and also stop the rain. It's also going to play background, or fade out the background music as well over the course of 5 seconds. Yep, so it's going to also start the background music over 5 seconds. Is that one set to wait? No, okay. And then once I better head to my house. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play background music. I'm going to play. Yeah, that's a lot better. Play. And then I'm going to turn on sub switch 8, which erases this event, essentially. Nice. I'm liking where that's going. Okay. Now let me show you what this does. Found one! Well, that was scary. I have now found one of the rooms. I better get going. See, because it was if the variable is 5, then it would show that other text, but because it's not, it says I better get going. So I found another one. Here's the last one. See what happens. That was scary. I have now found 5 of the rooms. The sign said there are 5 total. It means I have 0 more to find. Wow, I found them all. I better get back to my house. See how the rain's stopping? And it stopped, and the sound stopped. Now when I push space, it works. The hero is victorious. Let me get back to my house. Awesome. So, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these events. I'm going to hide one over here. I'm going to hide one right there. I'm going to put one down in this little chamber thing. Put one way over here in this little hidden area. I'm going to put this one right there. So I'm kind of hiding them now because I know that they all work already. So it's great. Next. Oh, I've been going, okay, I can do the rest in 10 minutes maybe. Okay, let's finish this. Really hope my audio is working. Let me check that. Yeah, it is. Okay, good. Okay, what's next? Enemies, start beginning. So what I'm going to do is, actually, because I don't want to confuse the player quite yet, I'm going to get rid of, on the map layer, I'm going to get rid of these doors. Why? Because I'm making this quick and I don't want to make those extra rooms. I'm just going to make inside the house. So what I'm going to do is I have the forest. I'm going to do new map. I'm going to say inside, house, house interior, my house. So the background music in the house is going to be I want it to be more scary. I like it. Maybe a little darker. I like it. I'm going to set the tile set to interior, so it'll change all these tiles over here. I'm going to turn off dashing, just because you don't have to. So now I have this new map. It's a little small, so I'm going to map properties, I'm going to make it 25 by 20. So that's a little bit bigger. So this is how I make interiors. Scroll up to the top. I usually take whatever the type of house it is. So in this case, it's a wooden house. So I'm going to take wood, like this one, and I'm going to just paste it. No, I'm not. That was dumb. Yeah, I'm just going to paste it. So I'm going to paste black first. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to draw the outline of my house. So I'm looking at it here. It's a big with a small one on the side. So I'm going to make big with a small one on the side. just leave this music going because it's cool. It's very inspiring. So this is the more or less shape of the house. Now I did it with all this material here. What I have to go do now is take this one and do this. I'm still on that. So. And now what I'm going to do is take my floor, which is going to be wood, and kind of draw it in like this. Do you see the house so far? Ready. There's a better version of that. There's a better version. Exists, but I don't know there's usually like some light pattern. Maybe it's something I've done in a custom tile set. Huh. Yeah, it must have been something custom I used to make, because I used to have a tile that I like placed right here. There was like a light indicating it can go outside right there. Is this better? Let me see. That's a little better. I like it. A little less invisible. I like it. This is creepy music. Anyway, let me build into your edge real quick. So now I use these other tiles. I'm going to put this little rug right here. Because I'm going to put a fireplace right here. I'm going to put instead. I'm going to add a little character to this floor. Yeah. So the main one here is just to get the idea of what it could look like. I'm going to do this. That's kind of cool. Kind of gives it a little bit of a defined space. Put it up a bit. Instead of defined spaces. Maybe I'll define it even more. I like it. Kind of splits it into these separate rooms a bit. That's kind of cool. Maybe I'll make this one come in a bit. So you see how I'm like moving everything? It's pretty useful to do it now. That's nice. Yeah, I like it. Put some carpet in right here. We'll put some nice carpet in right here. So how I get this? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to push shift and get all of them right. Then I'm just going to right click on these sides, right click and then click. So now it looks like it's below this. It helps to give a little bit of depth. And I think I'm going to have to do that right here too. Then I go around because it doesn't. I don't touch these, otherwise it would update it. Yeah, I think that's good enough for now. Go to the second layer. I'm going to put some. This is going to be kind of a storage room. Some crates, maybe some different crates of my stuff I've made. Probably not broken barrel. Put some artwork on the walls. Maps are always nice, right? Nice little picture right there. Little banner. Pretty nice big fireplace right there. I like it. Put that right there. Some shelves, that'll be nice. This is going to be kind of the kitchen area, so I'm going to put a couple of shelves, different stuff. Because that's going to be the kitchen area. A nice mirror, I'll put that in there. What kind of bed do I want? It seems like this kind of bed. Should be good. Yeah, that's fine. Put some extra shelves up here. So this is the kitchen. I'll put some shelves in there too. I could put a basement, something like that. I'm not gonna do this thing. Let's put a window. Right, so I'm still just kind of making this up as I go, which is fun. Sweet. I think that's good enough. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to my event layer. I'm going to stop this music. I'm going to set this event here. I'm going to right click and go quick event creation, transfer. So this is going to transfer me. So when I touch this, it's going to transfer me right here, facing down. See how that works? Like teleport. And it's going to play the sound effect too. And now I'm going to go back to this one. And this one I'm going to right click and I'm going to click quick event creation, door. I'm going to double click on this. Now since that door is kind of curvy on the top, I'm going to pick this one. Yeah. So, and it's going to take me to, when I click on it, it's going to take me here, facing up. That's not even going to ask me. Look, direction. So now the door is here too. So those are two events to link these two together. Now in the house interior, I'm going to right click, set starting position player. So now I'm starting here. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to click new event. I'm going to click here. I'm going to go down. I'm going to find fire or flame. I'm going to pick this fire because it's the one that looks like it could be in the fireplace. That one works too, actually. Yeah. And then I'm going to do stepping animation. Okay. Same as character, so you can't actually hit it. And now this means that it's just going to play a fire animation in here, right? That's kind of cool. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to create a parallel process event. This one is parallel process. It's going to be start. What it's going to do very quickly, so actually because this is going to be the start screen, I have to come out here and go grab this. What is this? Yeah, what is this one? Okay, I need to take this event, delete it from here, and put it on the house interior start up here. So now this one is going to start that other parallel process that sets the variables, so it's going to be there. This one is start, and so what it's going to do is it's going to quickly fade out screen, not fade out screen, essentially tint the screen black, right? And it's going to do it instantly, and it doesn't really matter if it's instantly. So what it's doing is just making it very quick, dark. This house interior map properties, I'm going to go change background sound. It's going to be set to rain or storm. Rain. Fire. That's a good one. Okay. So it's going to be raining on this one, but not, it's going to be sounding like, oh, not even that, it's going to be a fire sound. Yeah. Let me stop this. Where am I at now? One person is watching. Huh, a while ago. Anyway. I wasn't expecting anyone to watch. So, what this one is going to do is it's going to tint the screen very quickly, and then it's going to wait 200 frames. Then it's going to show text. And it's really like, wake up. Oh no. Boom. Or boom. At the same time, it's going to make a sound effect. Not that. Devil. That's creepy. I like that. That's kind of just creepy enough. So now what it's going to do is it's going to wait. It's going to be dark and it's going to make that sound. And then it's going to play the text. And the text is going to say, what was that? Okay. And then what it's going to do is it's going to fade in the screen. And it's going to wait about 50 frames, about 2 seconds. I swear I just heard something. I'm trying to make this game up as I go. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do it this way. Right here I'm going to create graphic actor. How about evil actor? That dude. Monster. That guy's creepy enough. This guy's like the devil. I don't want it to be that guy. Okay. So this guy's evil dude. And he is going to be off by default, so he will not be seen. In that case, this guy would be nothing. Okay, just to wrap this up, I could finish this. Maybe I'll do this a different time, because this is setting up the story part of it now. What I'm going to make this happen is, as I walk out here, this guy is going to appear, and then say, I have made runes, something, now you'll never be able to find them all. And then he'll disappear, which gives the player then an objective. I like it. That's what I'm going to do. So for now, Forest, because the player is starting out down here, what I need to do is take one of these runes, probably this one, and I need to move it a little bit closer to the player, like right there, where like I can't miss it, because then I have an objective. So it's like, whoa, I just walk out and I just hit it. It's like, cool. So now what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to make a couple of monsters. They're going to be those work. Let's use those. So these are going to be stepping, directional fix, no, not through. Center's character, player touch will be the event. These are going to approach the player. This is what makes it harder. They're slow. So now if the player touches, you lose. Evil. Creepy. You lose. And then it's going to teleport the player, which is done through transfer player. It's going to transfer me back to here, facing down. Normal fade. And it's going to insert, play sound effect, evil laugh. Okay, so this is the bad dude. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to place a couple of these bad dudes all over the place. Oops, not right there. Can't walk right there. Okay, now what I'm doing here is I would normally create a bunch more events explaining like the storyline of this, but for now what I'm going to do is just do that. And then when I get back here, this is going to be another event that is if variable found runes is set to 5 or above. Congratulations, you won. And then go to, where's the game over? Return to title screen. There, that works. So This won't only happen if that's the case. This one up here, I swear I just heard something. I'm just going to set this to control self switch A on with a new event A on, so it's not going to do anything. So now, let's test the whole game. I don't know how hard it's going to be with those guys either. Outside. What's that? See how it's dark? What's that? I swear I heard something. Oh, I didn't. I used the wrong fade-in screen. Okay. Rather than fade-in screen, I have to retint the screen. Tint screen back to just kind of dark. Okay, that works. So there's a lot of playtesting involved. By the way, this is how you make these kind of games. What's that? Fade in. I swear I just heard something. Okay, I'm walking around. Now normally it'd be like, boom, I made all these things, and now you have to go find them. I gotta make that right now. I'm just making on that side, Black Forest. Oh, see how that guy's coming towards me? Oh no, well, that's scary. I found one of the ruins. Better get going. See, here's the thing. See, he's kind of watching me. So see if I come over here, he's coming towards me. Now I kind of know where the other ruins are. I need to put a fire here. That's something for later. Oh, there's another guy. Now I know where everything is. This is a little easier. Oh, they're coming. Where's the next one? The bridge. Whoops, they're there. So you could make it. You could make a variable like however many you found. You can make the guys run faster. This is hard. You just have to get this guy out of here. In order to get in. Perfect. Oh no. Come to me so I can dash past you. Trixie. Oh, now I got it right. Oh. Hey, I'm winning! Now, that's something I can do too, where I can change these ghost guys to, if I have found all 5, that they'll disappear. I should do that. That should be a minimum viable MVP. So that I can nicely, happily walk back to my house. I don't have to worry about it. Now, because that variable was on, it didn't do the victory. Oh, it's because it's not set to parallel process. Yeah, that's the problem. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that thing. So I'm going to take all these guys, except for one. This is the one. And I'm going to make it where if variable found runes is 5 or above, then they're off essentially. They're just not there. Yep. So now I'm going to put one here and there, kind of where they were. I like the positioning of a couple of them. Some of them were a little bit harder. Oops, I'm just going. This one was hard. I like that one. Nice. Okay. Is that good enough? Yeah, it is. Okay. Let's play this again one last time. And this should be it, and then we're done. Only an hour and 45 minutes into it instead of an hour. I should have had it better planned out. Oh, I can't stop. I can't run fast. No, I don't. I'm trying to sticky keys. See how the fire's moving? It's awesome. Oh. Let's see if they disappear. Oh, that was scary. Oh, they did disappear. Oh, I found them all. They're back to my house. Congratulations, I won! I could probably fix that and make it play nicer music. Just for the heck of it, I want to try it one more time. I want to see what happens when I touch one of those bad guys and see if it actually works. That was awesome. It doesn't really lose you. Now you could, something you could do is you could make lives. So for example, you can make it, you have 3 lives and you show those up on the screen. That wouldn't be very hard. And essentially, every time you touch one of those guys, you say update variable and you tell it to, you have a variable called lives and you say you have 3 to begin with, you run it at the beginning. And then every time you touch one of those guys, you say subtract 1 from hearts. And then you have 2 and then it shows only 2. And then you can do it for 1, and then on the last one it can be like an actual literal game over instead of just doing it back here. I like the teleporting you back here because it's kind of just an annoying thing and it doesn't kill you out of the game, like it's still possible to complete. And so I did like that. It was good. Anyway, where are we at as far as time? Hour 43 minutes. Well, I guess I did explain kind of what I was going to do before I actually started building it, so it was more like an hour and a half. It was still more than an hour, but I'll get better at it and I'll plan it. Anyway, so that's that. Now, what I would do to finalize this is I would, oh, I have a character generator. Duh. You're going to be like, I want this person to have red hair. It'd be nice. Anyway, so you can do all that stuff. There's some really cool features that you have in here. If you want, you can get into the scripts. So this is all Ruby. And this is what really runs the stuff, and you can download a lot of them online, and you can go online to the different forums and say, I need a script that plays a sound effect louder, like a heartbeat, as enemies get closer. And there's probably something like that, or you can find something that kind of works like it. And there's a lot of things you can do with it, but I just built everything in here just with a normal set of default stuff. And you know, it was fun. I had fun playing it, and you know, kind of hard. You could make it run a timer. You could totally do that. Like countdown timer shows it on the screen. You only have 1 minute to get everything. Or you could count the timer up, and that way you could challenge your friends and say who gets it faster. Other things, variations you could do. You could take these little signs, not what are they called, runes, and you could make 10 of them all over the map, or a ton of them, and then tell the game to, at the beginning, run a variable and pick 5 random ones to turn on and leave all the others off. That way it kind of randomizes where they're at every single time. That could be really cool. You could add in additional map elements, so like I could put in caves and I go in the cave and I have to find one in there. Or I make the map bigger like I had it originally, which was too big. I can make it go in the mines. I can make it do a mini game a little bit, like where I go into a cave and I have to like jump over something or wait for something to come, or do a battle, or one of my favorites is like push a block over until it holds down the switch. Because you can make switches like you step on it and it opens the gate, but when you step off it closes it. You have to push something onto it. Those work really well. I love those. Are some of my favorites that I've ever made before in the past. So there's some cool ideas where this could go. Anyway, I hope this helps kind of get a good idea of what you can really create with this. And I'm going to finish this probably tomorrow or sometime, where I'm going to fix the trees that I have and I see, and I'm going to fix the sound effect and fix the little thematic thing at the beginning with the little demon guy who appears and said, "You'll never find all of them." And I might add some of those other things that I said too, like more enemies. Maybe I'll change all of the enemies to, as I find more runes, they run faster. And that was something else I didn't even add into this, is the safe zones. You can put safe zones where you tell players, like, the enemies cannot cross over certain things, but the players can. Those types of things work, and they're pretty easy to do if you know where to go to do it. My only suggestion for writing events, go into this here, this event editor, click on this, and just hover over each one. Read it. Open the text message and display text. That's useful. Show choices. This one is cool because in the context of the chat of the text, you could be like, do you want to do this or this? And then you put show choices, and then it branches, and you say, do this or do this. And then depending on which one you pick, it runs a separate thing, and it kind of branches out, kind of like what we were doing with that conditional branch earlier. Just really hover over each one of these, read what they do so you remember it in your mind, and then some of them I've never used before. I've never used change experience, never used change class. But try them all out too. It works really well. There's lots of tutorials online for how this thing can work. And that's it. I made a game in like an hour and a half, and it can only go up from here. This is kind of a fun short game. Imagine a game like, let me open one. Open project. Marble. Did I ever start one? No, I didn't start that one. Open project. Project 1. Yeah, this is what I made last night. I was just trying it out, really. It's like I made this little map, and then I was trying out the event to see if it worked. And it did. From here, if I want, I can go new load sample map. Look at, there's some maps already made, so that I can be like, get some good inspiration from it. Oh, the slum. Look at this. Player, start, location, play. Yes. Not responding. No. Oh, there it goes. Go away. Oh, I'm walking around. No people, but it's a map. And like, here's the big wall. Oh wow, I can't get to you. Oh, here's the little entrance. Make this house. There's no entrance. Make this house. Like, these are just really awesome examples of kind of the things you can create in them. You can do it. Those sample maps. Snow Fortress exterior, Devil's Castle, Tower of the Void. These are kind of cool. They're like a maze. Imperial Army's Fortress, Into the Beast. That's inside the Beast. Ancient Ruins. Right? There's just a lot of really cool abandoned mine shafts. This is, you can go up on different levels. Jail. There's just so many awesome maps in here that you can make, and like, they're all made for you, or you can use them as an example to see how they work with the tiles. What's an inn? Oh, here's an inn. How about a magic shop? Look at that magic shop. This is sweet. And you just put a new event, run it here, do this, do where is it? System settings, battle map. Where is it? Open shop processings. So now you shop. Now I say, I want the person to be able to buy the potion. I want him to be able to buy the full potion. And I want him to be able to buy the elixir. Now those things are all offered at the store. And you can only purchase, you can't sell back. That's awesome, right? Now what you can do is you can go into the database editor, and you go into items, and this is where you select all these items. This is where you make them. This is where you select what is a little icon that I want it to represent. I want it to be a guitar, and I want guard up to be music, right? I'm making the item. Then what does the item do when I use it? It's a key item, which means I can't discard it or sell it. This is the price. Can I eat it? No, I can't eat the guitar. I can get it from whenever I want, and I can use it on one enemy. And what it does, it hurts them, success, it always lands or sometimes lands. You can use it how many times? Animation, it's going to be thunder, hit type, right? All of these things in the database manager are where you create your armor, your enemies, your weapons. Oh, animations is cool. This is where I was making these other things earlier where you can be like play. Right? These are all the different animations like when you're fighting. Yeah, here's the dark one that we've used a bunch. Right? You can use anything. So it's really cool. Anyway, I think I'm about done. So, hope you learned something from it. And I had fun making it. I remembered how to do all this. I haven't used this program in a long time, but anyway, that's it.